Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see very important articles that appeared in our today's newspaper. First of all, I want to talk about yesterday's paper, guys. And as of my analysis of paper is lengthy for sure, and even the questions are difficult, and even they changed the pattern of questions, and they introduced ethics based questions also. So here, students, now onwards you have to prepare even ethics from your prelims point of view as well. And whenever I take current affairs classes, in that classes also I am telling you like ethics dimensions, how the question can be given. In the same way, in yesterday's paper they reflected. Okay. And one more thing here is, don't neglect current affairs at all, because there are more than 30 plus current affairs in yesterday's paper. You can check it. And even in the static questions also, they linked with current affairs and they gave questions from static point of view. The thing that I felt after talking to many students is, actually they prepared very well for 1 year, but most of the questions are unexpected. Okay, so because of that, if you are not getting more than 82 to 85, because this time I'm expecting the cutoff will be like 82 to 85. If you are crossing that limit, you can start your mains preparation without any delay. But if you are not scoring like 82, or if you are in this below 82, please don't get demotivated. So this will provide you an opportunity to come back much more stronger. So you have to start your mains preparation irrespective of whether you are getting the score of 82 or 85. Even if you are below, you have to start this mains preparation. There is no choice at all. And one more thing is, you have to focus on your mistakes. Try to avoid this kind of mistakes once again next year, guys. You should not repeat this. Okay, now let us see the current affairs. And even in my current affairs classes, I am telling you how questions can be asked. In the same way, many questions were there in our paper. For example, many a times I said about Strait of Hormuz. There is a straight way question on Strait of Hormuz. And even I said about Drew 64. I said about Bharat forecast system. I said about BIMSTEC. Okay. And next one is, I said about National Quantum Mission. I said about rare earth metals. I said about critical minerals. So mostly these questions are there in your paper, guys. And even I said about Nobel Prize, and many a times we discussed about Nobel Prize related articles also. And one thing is, even we discussed about RBI and even SEBI, NBFCs many times in our current affairs classes. And my request to you guys here is, if you're following one channel, please do follow regularly. Don't skip. Okay. So if you're skipping, and if you're not serious, and if you're not like, what should I say? If you're not like following on everyday basis, then it will be your mistake, guys. Okay. So we follow everyday current affairs and don't take this current affairs light. You should not neglect this current affairs at all from now onwards. So this paper taught you a good lesson, that is, you should not skip current affairs, and just factual understanding is not only important, even conceptual clarity is very important, and you need to know elimination techniques. Elimination techniques really works, guys. Okay, so focus on that. And how you can know about elimination techniques? You have to practice PYQ questions. And even someone was saying that from PYQs I didn't get any question. No, there are two questions from directly PYQs. One is about your history related to rivers. What are the earlier names or ancient names, like they gave Bias, Vipasa, like that they gave one match the following related question. And second question that I found is Hillock Gibbons. Hillock Gibbon is the repeated theme in UPSC environment related based questions earlier, and that had been reflected. That means if you are practicing PYQs, then that will be exactly helpful to eliminate the statements. And there are two direct questions from PYQs also. Okay, don't miss this PYQs. As I said, do practice at least PYQs from 1980s onwards. Don't skip this, guys. Okay, now let us start our analysis. So here I am taking only today's analysis and yesterday's and day before yesterday's class current affairs. If they are very important, I will be covering in tomorrow's class. So first let us see the topics of the day. First topic is Quad grouping remains a vital framework, says Japan's foreign minister. This article is talking about Quad, and this time there was a question on BIMSTEC. Next time you may get a question on Quad. So groupings don't neglect, guys. And this topic is important from international relations. And next topic is about digital arrest, 6 held for duping elderly women in Bangalore. So here you have to know about digital arrest, what is this digital arrest, what are the arguments like in against this digital arrest, and what are the steps taken by the government. You may expect a mains based question this regarding this digital arrest in your GS paper too. And next topic is long awaited anti-COVID drugs is also a milestone against future viruses. This article is talking about anti-COVID drug. Actually here you have to know about what is the drug is about, because UPSC has a tendency to ask a question on this, like this drug is seen recently in news, it is used for what? And next one is UCC, it is very important from your polity point of view. And next topic is the India's green transition still runs on coal. This article is talking about climate change, and there are many questions in UPSC GS1 GS paper and even CSAT related to this climate, guys. So climate change is one important and favorite theme of UPSC, you should not miss it. And this topic is important from your SNT and as well as environment and ecology. And next topic is what is China's Hainan FTP initiative. So this article is important from international relations. And even when we discussed about aeroplane crash, even on that day itself I said you may get a question on black box. There is a question on black box in paper. And even because of volcanic eruption in Ethiopia, on that day itself I said you have to see volcanic eruptions which happened across the world. There was one question on that, which is in so and so Ecuador country, like that. Okay, so you have to know and you have to interrelate and you have to make notes in this format, guys. Okay, there is no choice. You have to do this kind of work for sure. Okay, I can't recall each and every question right now, but there are many questions which are came directly from our Hindu analysis. And one more thing I want to say very proudly is we gave around 202 important topics list for the students of GS, and even we made content on it. I will, if possible, I will showcase that in the future videos. From that directly many questions came. Okay, I am very happy that our students did that. Okay, yeah. And now let us see the important first topic. The first topic is Quad grouping remains a vital framework, says Japan's foreign minister. Okay, so here this article is talking about Japan. Japan's foreign minister gave a statement regarding what? Regarding Quad. So here you have to know about what is the basics of Quad. How many countries, when it is formed, and what are the main objectives of this Quad. And next you have to see why this Quad had been formed. So name itself is saying that Quad. Quad means nothing but we have a grouping of 4 countries. Which are those 4 countries? We have India, US, Japan and Australia. And now Japan's foreign ministry is making a statement that Quad grouping remains a vital framework, very important framework. Okay, now let us see the context. So this context is saying that Japanese foreign minister, Japanese foreign minister reaffirmed that Quad full form is Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, comprising US, Japan and India and Australia, remains a vital framework among the country. For what? Here if you see, for what? Fundamental values and strategic interest. For fundamental values and strategic interest. So this Quad is very important. And this, if you see about the facts regarding this Quad, that is nothing but Quadrilateral Dialogue. It is an informal forum. And in this informal forum, like-minded countries across Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean, they came together and they aim to ensure support for a free, open and secure Indo-Pacific region. That means this grouping is focusing on security on Indo-Pacific region. And how many countries are there here? 4. So if you see about different countries and what is their role, on this way also UPSC can ask you a question. If you want, you can make. So Australia's role is, it links Pacific and Indian Ocean resource partnership, and even it will ensure naval presence in Indo-Pacific region. That is the role of Australia. And next one is India. If you see India's role, India is a rising economy and even it is providing net security in this region. And next one is, if you see about Japan's role, Japan is providing maritime strength and even Japan is providing advanced technology and infrastructure funding in these regions. And next one is US. US is providing technology leadership and even defense capacity in this region. So these are the 4 countries' role in Quad. And now let us see why this Quad was formed. What is the reason? The first one is because of Indo-Pacific region. In this Indo-Pacific region, they want to focus on free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific region, and it is focusing on promoting of openness, fairness and inclusivity in regional affairs. They are focusing on openness, fairness and inclusivity in regional affairs. And next one is, they are focusing on maritime security and navigation freedom. That means they are focusing on critical sea lanes. They want to ensure whatever the critical sea lanes are there, they are free. And we want to ensure freedom of trade in this region and proper supply chains, especially for energy related things. That is the second important reason. And thereby they are protecting or they are providing maritime security and even freedom of navigation. And next one here is regional crisis response. So this group provides disaster relief and humanitarian aid if there is any natural disaster or if there is any emergency because of oil spills, etc. And next one is, you are also focusing on cooperating in technology, climate, health and as well as supply chains. And these Quad members, they are going to collaborate and they are going to strengthen innovation, climate action, pandemic preparedness and reliable trade networks, and they are focusing on especially not short-term benefits but long-term benefits. And next one is, they are focusing on especially to balance the power related to maritime alliance. So these are the major reasons why this Quad was formed. Okay. And now let us see next article. Title says digital arrest. 6 held for duping elderly women in Bangalore of 24 crore rupees. Okay, so actually nowadays because of increased science and technology, increased cyber crimes also seen. A new type of crimes that are increasing in our society is digital arrest. What is this digital arrest? They are going to trap elderly, especially financially rich people, and they will keep them on online either through video calls or some other mechanism, and they will say that we are calling from CBI or so and so, and they will try to loot the money from your bank accounts. That concept is called as digital arrest, and especially they are targeting elderly rich people. So in this case also digital arrest, around 6 people were arrested in this elderly women duping case. So now let us see what is this digital arrest, and there may be a possibility of getting question regarding mains. Okay, here how can you get a question? Digital arrest. What is digital arrest? What are the causes? What are the measures taken by the government? And suggest some way forward or measures. So like that you may get a mains based question regarding digital arrest, and you have to be very much careful. If you say this digital arrest, it is a cyber scam. In this cyber scam, what happened? Fraudsters, they impersonate, they say themselves as they are from law enforcement agency, and they will create a fear and urgency among these people to whom they call on online, either through video calls or voice calls, whatever it may be, and they will link them with criminal cases, and they will threaten arrest or freezing of bank accounts. Okay, in that way they will try to loot money from the bank accounts. And what are the challenges here to address this problem? Nowadays, technology increased at a very high pace, very rampant pace. So here, because of this digital tradecraft advancement, so here what is happening, they are using different kind of things, like they are making smoothed documents, smoothed numbers, deep fakes. It is becoming very easy for them, and even it is very difficult for us to identify whether they are correct or incorrect. And next one is powerful social engineering. Fraudsters exploit fear, urgency, and impersonation of agencies like CBI. Normally, if we are getting any call from CBI or CID or ED, obviously we'll get fear, right? So that fear they are trying to catch, and they are trying to make money from that fear. And next one is there is weak cyber security practices in our country, because there is no proper password, and even whatever the passwords we will try to keep for our mobiles will be normally ATM numbers, right? So because of this, what is happening, we are not maintaining the pure maintaining like strong password hygiene in our country. And this one is we are using majorly outdated software, personal data, and impersonate victims, etc. And even there is rise in digital payments. So because of this rise or increasing of digital payments, so it also leading to some problem here. And next one is we have dark web and driven crime networks. So we are having lots of organized groups which are stealing data, which are also having malware kits and ransomware, etc. So because of this also it is becoming a challenge now for this police forces to control this kind of digital arrest. And next one is there are weak laws and enforcement gaps are also there, limited cyber policing capacity, cross-border jurisdiction, which will allow scammers to operate. And next one is there is rapidly evolving cybercrime techniques also. Fraudsters are constantly upgrading their tools like spoofed numbers, deepfakes, AI generated documents, so that they are trying to bypass the security checks also. Okay, and even there is a very slow reporting because of social stigma in our society. Because of that, many of this cyber arrests, they are not coming outside. And next one is what are the initiatives taken by our government of India to tackle this digital arrest. First one is we have Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, that is also called as I4C. It is nothing but Ministry of Home Affairs. They are coordinating with National Cybercrime Response, and especially they are focusing on capacity building, monitoring, and even intelligence sharing. And next one is we have National Cybercrime Reporting Portal, and this portal will enable citizens to report about this cyber crimes online, and even they are focusing on increasing of awareness to people related to this. And next one is we have Citizen Financial Cyber Fraud Reporting System, and we have a helpline number, that is 1930. It allows immediate reporting of this financial frauds. So government is also providing one helpline. And next one is anti-spoofing measures. We have Department of Telecommunications, and even we have telecom operators. They now can identify and even block international spoofed calls, so that we can control this kind of calls from other countries to some extent. And next one is you are also focusing on digital safety awareness. Especially government is providing awareness campaigns, especially through SMS alerts and cyber those social media platforms, and even digital displays on in railway station boards, bus stops, etc., and even on roads. Okay, so the government is trying to provide certain awareness to the people regarding this kind of cyber arrest. Okay, now you have to think about what measures can be taken so that we can control this kind of things further in our country. Okay, so this is about this topic. And now let us see next article. Title says UCC will never be applied to tribal communities, says Shaw at Red Fort Conference. At Red Fort Conference, our Union Home Minister made a statement, that is UCC never be applied on tribal communities. So actually this tribal areas comes under 5th and as well as 6th schedule, right? In 2026 prelims paper, there are 2 questions related to this 5th and 6th schedule. That means you can understand how much important the schedule caste and schedule tribes is. Okay, you have to focus on that, guys, for sure. and you have to understand about this 5th and 6th schedule areas in deep while you're preparing for your polity, guys. In polity, you should not miss this 5th and 6th schedule. Okay, so it is very important. Okay, now let us see what is this about and what is this UCC. So what is this UCC? UCC full form is Uniform Civil Code, right? It comes under Article 44 of Indian Constitution, talks about this UCC. So what is this UCC? We have civil matters or civil cases. Civil cases related to marriages, divorce, okay, marriage, divorce, adoption, and as well as succession of property. Regarding this, different religions have their different religious codes. For example, for Hindus it is Hindu code, and Islam they have Islamic code. So like that they have different. But this UCC says that no religion should not take into consideration religion, but everyone should have everything, or should be treated under a single law related to civil matters. That is called as Uniform Civil Code, which is said in Article 44 of Indian Constitution. And now let us see about this Uniform Civil Code. Uniform Civil Code refers to a set of laws, and these laws are governing matters related to what? Marriage, divorce, adoption, inheritance, and even succession for all citizens of India. And where it is written? It is written in Article 44 of Indian Constitution, and it comes under DPSP, Directive Principles of State Policy. So this Directive Principles of State Policy comes under Part 4 of Indian Constitution. And next one here is, it is important to note that it is not a legally enforceable, because DPSPs are not legally enforceable. Okay, now let us see what are the debates regarding this UCC in Assembly of India, Constituent Assembly. Okay, if you see about this UCC, when we framed our constitution, at that time we have a drafting committee of constitution. So if you see what are the proponents related to that at that time. So if you see the arguments in favor of UCC, they are saying that it will provide national unity, and as well as it will help to enhance secularism. National unity and secularism will be enhanced if we are having this UCC. And next one is gender justice. So they are also said that like if we are providing this UCC, we can improve women rights, particularly within Hindu law. And next one is they said that modern legal framework. So here at that time the framers of the constitution saw UCC as a step towards creating modern legal framework, and they started treated citizens equally regardless of religion. So for that reason we need to have this. And next one is the arguments which are against this UCC. The first one is many people they opposed this UCC. They said that we have to ensure religious freedom, and religious freedom comes under fundamental right. If we want to give priority for DPSP, how can we compromise fundamental right? So this is the first question. And next one is they said that we need to ensure community autonomy. Okay, there was a strong sentiment that communities should have the autonomy to follow their personal laws. And next one here is there is a risk of disharmony. If you are imposing this UCC across the different communities, obviously that will lead to disharmony in our country. That is a point which mainly said. And now let us see the next article. Title says long awaited anti-COVID drug is also a milestone against future viruses. So now recently we came up with one new drug to treat for this, to treat this COVID-19, that is nothing but SARS coronavirus. Because of this it is in news. And actually I want to say one thing. If you have seen the CSAT paper of 2026 prelims, in that CSAT paper there are 3 questions related to comparing of HMPV virus and SARS-CoV virus. Okay, so that means if you are getting this kind of articles in newspaper, you may also get a question in your what CSAT in the form of passages. So you have to do passages for sure, right? So for that, reading of newspaper will be very important. That is a point that I want to convey here. Okay, if you see this article, it says that Ensitrelvir, please make a note, Ensitrelvir, N-C-I-T-R-E-L-V-I-R. N-citrulvir granted emergency approval in Japan. In Japan, they got approval for this N-citrulvir for use in November 2022. That is to treat mild to moderate COVID-19. In early 2024, it got full authorization. So whenever they release this new drug into the market, they said only for treating of mild cases, but now, yes, they came up with full authorization of this drug. Okay, a newspaper in the New England Journal of Medicine reported that it can also be used for post-exposure prophylaxis after we got the disease and to prevent in the future, so we can take that drug. So that is a recent study. And this study concluded that giving Acyltravir to contacts within 72 hours of primary patient showing symptoms could effectively prevent COVID-19. That means if there is a COVID-19 patient, if someone came and touched him or like had any conversation like that, so there is a risk of transmitting of this virus from that person to that person. To prevent that, we can use this N-citrulvir to prevent spread of COVID-19 also. So these are some important things that they said here. And next article is India's green transition runs on coal. Very, very important article from Environment and Ecology, guys, and you have to understand. Title says about green transition. Green transition is nothing but we have to move from non-renewable energy towards renewable energy sources. That is the meaning of green transition, right? So now this article is saying that mostly India's green transition is running on coal. But because of use of coal, obviously, there will be increase in greenhouse emission gases and that will lead to climate change. But this article is saying that green transition still runs on coal. So here you have to see about details in detail, guys. So if you see what is the article saying, so India achieved 50% of non-fossil fuel installed capacity. And in October 2025, 5 years ahead of 2030 target. So mostly we done with our renewables like solar, wind, wind, etc. And we crossed 230 to 250 gigawatts. Okay, now let us see what are the reasons why we are focusing on still coal. Because the energy demand is very high in our country. To meet this energy demand, we cannot produce everything from green energy. That is the first important reason we are using why coal. And next one is energy security and affordability. Coal provides reliable, dispatchable power, and India is prioritizing affordable energy for growth. So for this, coal is domestically available, and even if you are getting from other countries, it is cheap to get. And next one is industrial and power use. So coal power steel, cement, aluminium and bricks, and the demand projected to rise to this much. So here coal is also used in not only thermal sector but even steel, cement and aluminium sectors as well. And next one is infrastructure inertia. So here this article is saying that coal capacity operational is more and it is under construction, and even we are focusing on building of new plants. And next one is if you see about this public sector undertakings related investments, there are more than 8 times you are focusing on this kind of fossil fuels itself. So because of this, we are having our energy dependent on this coal till today because of this major reasons. And next one is what is the process in green transition, how we can move towards green. First one is we have to increase our renewable energy capacity. For example, we have solar capacity or wind energy or tidal energy, geothermal energy. We have to improve our infrastructure. And next one is we have to come up with a policy and targets. So as we have a policy of achieving this 500 gigawatts of non-fossil fuel by 2030, and there are some ambitions which says that more than 900 gigawatts we have to increase. And even recently we increased our, we came up with our national determined contribution, that is updated NDCs. So in that the first one here is we have to increase in energy intensity, and even we have to increase non-renewable energy sources in our country, that is 60% of fuel that we have produced in our country should be from non-fossil fuel by the target year is 2035. And even we have a target of net zero or carbon neutrality by 2070. And we have already achieved this 50% of capacity already. And this one is regarding this coal phase aspects. Okay, there should be some decline in coal generation, and even we have to focus on efficiency, supercritical technology, and we have to focus on upgrading of our old coal plants. And this one is we have to go for other clean sources like hydro, nuclear, bio, and we have to go for a push for hydrogen electricity or like green hydrogen projects or electric vehicles and storage. And next one is what are the challenges we are facing and what is stopping us. First one is intermittency and storage. So actually if you see this solar energy which can be produced only whenever we are having sunny days, but during night time and during this cloudy season, so we cannot produce. And even storage is also a problem for us to store huge amount of electricity which is provided by this, which is produced by this solar energy. And next one is we have improper grid and infrastructure. So because of this we need to increase or upgrade our infrastructure. And next one is economic and social factors like coal employs millions of workers and coal dependent states revenue will be reduced if you are shifting towards this renewable energy. So because of this reason also many states you are not moving to another site. And next one is we are also having problem related to supply chain and as well as imports, and even because of high investments in this fossil fuels also it will become a major problem for government of India. And next article it is why is China's Hainan FTP initiative. So if you are getting this kind of initiatives came up by the countries, for sure you will be getting a questions regarding that from your prelims point of view. Consider the following statements regarding China's Hainan FTP or China's Hainan FTP is in news, what it is. What does it mean? Okay, like that you may get a question. So if you see here related to this article, it is saying that Hainan is China's southernmost province and it comes under tropical island in South China Sea. Okay, and actually they came up with free trade port with island and there is customs closure in this region. That means there will be free access and there is regulated access at the second line and there is free flow within island along with zero tariff, lower taxes, and there will be simplified movement of trade, people and as well as data. So here in this province there is no, that is there is no tax, that is FTP is nothing but free trade port. That means they will not try to regulate the access, they will not impose any tariffs and there will be no taxes, so that there will be movement of trade, that to free movement of trade, people and as well as data can be seen. So that what happened, this kind of FTPs will be attracting lots of foreign investors in that region. So that what happened, what will be the advantages? It will boost the trade and it will lead to increased tourism and consumption, and it also expands the free trade products, duty free shipping it can increase, and even visa free entry for 86 countries. So that what happened, overall in this region there will be increased investment and trade volumes, guys. That is the advantage of this FTP. The same thing which we gave here, but exactly have to see is key features. First one is zero tariffs on trade within the island. And this one is regular custom procedures. And this tariffs will be applying only on the things like goods entering the Chinese mainland from the island. And this one is there is free visa entry for citizens of 86 countries, so that they are boosting tourism in this region. And this one is low personal income tax and they will be attracting global talent and business. And they are focusing on simplified flow of commuters and data to ease business corporations. And they are focusing on saving of around 800 million renminbi on this tariffs. So that what happened, this area will become a global hub, so that it will be attracting more and more investments in this region. So these are the things that you have to remember from this article. By this I am concluding, guys. From tomorrow onwards I will be making questions on the recent format, so that you can understand how questions can be asked. Okay, so I will be trying to make questions on recent formats. Okay, so because of that reason, I didn't attach any question today. Okay, that's all guys. I wish you all the best once again. I'm saying this thing, please keep in your mind. So if you're crossing this 85 marks or not, you have to start your preparation. So don't think that this I lost this attempt. No, it provides a good opportunity for you to learn more and to come back with like double speed and as well as be strong, and try to focus on your mains first guys. If you are focusing on mains, then only you can do this kind of questions guys, analytical questions. If you are not doing all mains and if you're focusing only on prelims, never and ever you will not clear prelims, that is for sure. Okay, try to focus on mains guys, try to keep your preparation with integrated manner. Don't read only prelims, only mains like that. That uh, strategy will not work for UPSC. And if you want to join GS Prelims Cum Mains Foundation course in our academy, admissions are open guys, you can join here and I will be guiding you in each and every step towards your journey of UPSC. And if you want to contact us regarding this course and if you want to get to know more details of this course, please do contact us on this number 8074765513. And if you want to visit our academy, it is located in Ashok Nagar, Hyderabad, exactly above Vikas Book Center, second and third floor guys. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.